Hi, in this video, I'll show you how to attach an iris eye camera to an Iris 860 sensor. The installation is pretty straightforward, but there are some key steps you'll need to get right. I highly recommend downloading and reading the Scene System Installation Guide. It provides much more detail than we'll cover here. First, let's go over what's in the camera box. Inside, you'll find an Iris eye camera, a stainless steel mounting bracket, a weather shield, 6 hex screws, 2 of which are slightly longer than the others, 2 nylock nuts, a short M12 connector cable, and an antenna that comes with a bracket and various fasteners. Now, let's take a quick look at the camera itself. On the front, the logo should always be in the top right. On the back, there are 2 M12 connectors, a small RF connector for the antenna cable, and a "This Way Up" sticker. Before starting, we first need to decide which side of the sensor we want to mount the camera on. It doesn't matter which side you choose, as long as there is space for it. Step 1 is to remove the 2 hex screws from the side of the sensor that the camera will be mounted on. These are no longer needed. Once that's done, we need to attach the camera's mounting bracket and weather shield onto the side of the sensor. For this, we need to use the 2 slightly longer hex screws that come in the box. Making sure that each part is correctly oriented, insert one of the screws through the lower holes into the side of the sensor. Screw all the way in, but don't tighten it yet. Using a screwdriver-type hex tool makes this step easier than using a regular Allen key. Now, make sure the top holes are aligned and insert the second screw. Once both screws are in, tighten each to around 10 Newton meters of torque, around 7 foot-pounds. In high vibration applications, it might also pay to use some Loctite or star washers. Next, we're going to connect the outside of the bracket to the weather shield using 2 M6 hex screws and nylock nuts. We'll need to use a 10mm ring spanner to hold the nylock nuts in place. Once that's done, we're ready to attach the camera. Check that the camera is the right way up. Note the "This Way Up" sticker, and check that the 2 M12 sockets are at the bottom. Hold the camera in position so its 2 mounting holes align with the holes in the bracket. Then use 2 M6 hex screws to attach the camera to the bracket. Tighten the screws to around 10 Newton meters of torque, around 7 foot-pounds. Now that the camera is physically attached to the sensor, the last step is to connect the cables. First, we need to remove the 5-pin power cable from the sensor and transfer it to the camera. The sensor's power cable goes into the camera's 5-pin power socket, which is the one on the left. Remember to slowly rotate the plug in the socket until you feel the alignment slots line up, then screw down the collar until it's finger tight. Next, take the short M12 connector cable and plug the 5-pin end into the sensor's now vacant power socket and the 8-pin end into the camera. It's really important to note that the sensor's 8-pin accessory port is not used when installing an Iris eye camera. The final step is to attach the antenna cable to the RF connector, which allows the Iris eye camera to connect to the cellular network. Once again, finger tighten only. To avoid potential interference, the antenna needs to be mounted upright and a minimum of 10 centimeters, about 4 inches, away from the Iris 860 sensor. Once the antenna has been attached, the installation is finished and is now ready for testing.